Alright, so the first season of Wednesday is available now on Netflix. It's a new Netflix original series based on the character of Wednesday Addams, created by Charles Addams. You also have the other Addams family members, I guess, sprinkled throughout this first season. And I do say first season because I'm not sure if there are plans to pick this up for any more seasons after this. Nothing has been confirmed to my knowledge, but I could be wrong. Comment down below if you know something I don't. But yeah, whether or not I'd be willing to watch another season, I will get to that in a bit. But yeah, the series is created by Alfred Goh and Miles Millar, executive produced by Tim Burton. I believe 3 episodes of this first season are also directed by him, which you can kind of see some of his what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, some of his flavor, some of his DNA. That's a weird way of saying it, but you know what I mean. Like some of his personality, I guess, some of his trademarks sprinkled throughout the first season. But for the most part, it does feel a little bit different from things that you usually come to know from Tim Burton, which makes me wonder how much of a hand he actually had in creating the series, which I'll kind of get to in a second here. But let me give you the description of this show in case you don't really know what you're getting into with this. But here we go. A sleuthing, supernaturally infused mystery charting Wednesday Addams, her years as a student at the Nevermore Academy. Wednesday attempts to master her emerging psychic ability, thwart a monstrous killing spree that has terrorized the local town, and solve the supernatural mystery that embroiled her parents 25 years ago, all while navigating her new and very entangled relationships at Nevermore. So yeah, it's kind of like a coming of age kind of teen. eh, yeah, I mean, the best way I can describe it is a CW show. I mean, there's so much more I want to say, but I want to get to some of the cast members before I say anything, honestly. But yeah, obviously you have Jenna Ortega playing Wednesday Addams. Overall, I think she does great in this show. I think this show, what sets it apart from other adaptations of Wednesday Addams is that I feel like in other movies and shows, we haven't really had a whole lot of character development with Wednesday Addams. We haven't really seen a whole lot from her. I feel like we see a little bit more from her in Addams Family Values, but it's been a little while since I've seen that one, so I'd have to watch that and refresh my brain. But for the most part, she's just been kind of the kid character. The focus has always been more on the adults, and we get to see more from her now, which I very much like. And Jenna Ortega, I feel, is the perfect person to do it. I love her performances and pretty much everything I see her in. I think she's fantastic. But we also have Gwendolyn Christie as Principal Larissa Weems. Gwendolyn Christie, first thing I think of when I think of her, and probably a lot of other people as well, at least if you're, in my kind of age group and you're not, I don't know, like 14, this show is, TV 14. Game of Thrones. I remember her from Game of Thrones. Shoot. Forget her exact character name in that show, but she was great on that. But she's great in this as Principal Larissa Weems. Yeah, she's fantastic. We also have Emma Myers as Enid Sinclair, the roommate to Wednesday in this show when she gets to the school. She is a werewolf who hasn't quite wolfed out yet. She's very energetic, very colorful, complete opposite of Wednesday Addams. We also have Hunter Doohan as Tyler Galpin, one of the normal dudes in the town that they live in. And a lot of the time, the Nevermore people are seen as outcast, and the townspeople don't really like them. But this guy in particular seems to seems to take a liking to Wednesday. But he is not the only one. We also have Percy Hines, or yeah, I think it's Hines White as Xavier Thorpe. He is another person who kind of has a little bit of a crush on Wednesday, so a little bit of a love triangle there, which honestly I feel like in a lot of these types of shows it's just like basic. We see that kind of shit in here, but is it necessary? I don't know. There's already. I'll save what I have to say for a minute here. Also, if you see me doing this, I'm just scratching my nose. I just shaved, so I'm like all itchy in my nose now. But yeah, we also have Jamie McShane as Sheriff Donovan Galpin, the father to Tyler. Who else do we have here? Ricky Lindholm as Dr. Valerie Kinbot, the local therapist in the town. We have Joy Sunday as Bianca Barclay. If this is the character I'm thinking about, she is a siren, actually, which, if you don't know, sirens from Greek mythology, typically meant to draw people in and kill them. But yeah, she's a cool character in here. Kind of set up to be a bit of a mean girl, but everybody in this show for the most part kind of has a character arc that I particularly enjoy for the most part. We also have Georgie Farmer as Ajax Petropoulos. Actually, I think that's one of the not as important characters. Oh wait, no, he is. I believe he's what they call a stoner, which you can already tell what kind of show this is, what kind of story this is based on the like different clicks in here. But he's what's called a stoner, basically Medusa. Turns people to stone. So he always wears a beanie, always looks like a hipster. Yeah, that's all I can describe it as. We also have Christina Ricci. A lot of people's, Wednesday, when they think about Wednesday, me in particular, when I think about Wednesday, I think of Christina Ricci from Addams Family and Addams Family Values. I'm not sure of the exact years of those movies, but for those of you who like Addams Family, you know which ones I'm talking about. But yeah, cool to have her in here. Don't know if I said her character name or not, but it's Marilyn Thornhill. She's a bit of a caretaker around what's the name of it, Nevermore. Yeah, she's fun in here. We also have Tommy Earl Jenkins as Mayor Noble Walker, obviously in Mayor. Who else here? Musa Mustafa, which, by the way, dope ass name. Eugene Oettinger is the character he plays. And then let's get into the Addams Family, the people that we come to know and love. We have Catherine Zeta-Jones playing Morticia Addams. We have Louise Guzman, I believe that's how you pronounce it, as Gomez Addams. We have Isaac Ordonez as Pugsley Addams, my bad. We have Fred Armisen as Uncle Fester. I think there's one more, maybe two. Oh, Victor Dora Bantu as Thing, and George Barcia as Lurch. For the most part, I think everybody does a good job as their particular characters. Wednesday in particular, I mean, we spend the most time with her, so we get the most from Jenna Ortega as that character. So I think overall she is the best. But I do really like Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia Addams in this show. They give her a lot to do in here. They give a little bit to do for Gomez Addams, but even more so when it comes to Morticia, they kind of have this whole plot in there where Wednesday and her mother are kind of, they go back and forth and they argue a lot and they don't see eye to eye on a lot of things. And, it's a very kind of typical, mother-daughter relationship that we've seen in a lot of movies and shows, especially, if I give an example, Turning Red, what else? Everything Everywhere All at Once, a lot of types of movies and shows that have that similar plot. But and here especially, it just gives a little bit more depth to the character of Wednesday that we haven't really seen before. It makes her more of a human rather than just kind of a joke. I mean, for the most part. I mean, the Addams Family is supposed to be fun. This show is dark. I mean, it deals with dark themes, not just with monsters or like, whatever it might be on that end with the supernatural aspects, but also like murder, also like a little bit of depression. You know, there's a lot of dark themes that are tackled in this show. A lot of surprising dark themes, and I would say it's probably even darker than any other Addams Family movie or show has ever been. Not in the sense that it's dark, like, oh, Halloween fun, like, bats and ooh, I'm dreading my existence and whatnot. Not that kind of dark like, oh my god, people are dying and shit like that. Like kids are dying and stuff like that. It's like this show is crazy. And there's a lot going on. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like at this point I can go ahead and get into my notes. I'm gonna say this right off the bats. I am intrigued to see where they would go with the second season because in this first season alone, I feel like they tackle at least 2 seasons worth of stuff in here. There's like 2 to 3 villains in this show. Are all of them like the central villain? No, but they all feel like they could be villains of their own central season. And it's just like you're doing all of this in one season, maybe because you're worried you're not going to get picked up for another season. But at the same time, they do things in there, like especially with Bianca's character, they do something with her mother that they kind of set up for another season when they don't even have a confirmed second season picked up. It's just like you're getting a little ahead of yourself, in terms of setting things up for the future, but you're also getting ahead of yourself for in terms of like the particular season you're working on right here. There's so much going on in here, and for the amount of things that are going on in this first season, a lot of the episodes just kind of feel like filler with a little hint of important plot information. For the most part, it is your typical teen kind of drama show revolving around Wednesday and her weird antics and whatnot. Um, I won't lie, it took me a little bit to get through. There were days where I just didn't watch it at all. Um, I don't know, a lot of those, I mean, it started off pretty strong. I was excited in the beginning. By episode 2, I think I was starting to kind of like, it's all right. By episode 3, I think I got through episode 3 and then I stopped. But at that point, I was just like, all right, I'm getting kind of tired of this. It was intriguing at first, and I was having fun. And then as it went on, I kept getting a little bit more bored. But then, especially towards the ending, like the last two, no, like the last 3 episodes. There's one episode in particular where, and I'm not spoiling anything huge here, but when the family comes to visit Nevermore to visit their kids at the school. That episode in particular, I would say, is actually the best episode of the whole season. They tackle a lot of things in that episode when it comes to Morticia and Wednesday's character that I absolutely loved. Had little to nothing to do with the overall plot of the show, I guess, in terms of like figuring out the mystery. But in terms of like the character development, it's something that I absolutely loved. In fact, I would say the story arc they give Wednesday in this show, in terms of like, trying to change as a person or like evolve, as she would say, that's the best part of this show for me. And that's the reason why I would come back for another season. That's because I can't wait to see where they would go with her story if they do pick them up for another season. Because at this point, like, I'm just so curious on how much her character could evolve. And are people gonna love it? I don't know. Depends on if you're a really big Adams Family fan. I feel like there might be some really big Adams Family fans out there that, and by the way, I barely looked at my notes yet, and I'm already like almost 13 minutes in. Um, but yeah, some Adams Family fans I feel like are really gonna like this. They're gonna like the fresh take on it, and they're gonna like some of the adaptations that they give to the characters, especially with Luis Guzman. With his character, no offense to the actor at all, but he's a lot more you know, accurate to how the original comics were. Whereas, like, he kind of had crooked teeth and whatnot, and, wasn't the most handsome looking man. At times, even where you're like, Morticia, really? Like, come on, really? But there's some I almost call them backstory. I mean, there is backstory, but flashbacks. There are flashbacks in the show that show younger versions of Gomez and Morticia, and he was a handsome devil, I will say, and obviously she was beautiful too. Um, but yeah, let me see here. Just trying to see if I have any particular notes. Throughout the show, I mean, it makes you think everybody could be involved at one point. And I mean, I don't really want to give anything away, but at times it almost feels like like everybody is involved. And they do things to like kind of subvert your expectations, but it also does things where it's like, well, that means this character still kind of did that, and that's still kind of a shitty thing of them to do. So like there are times where it's like, oh, this character isn't necessarily supposed to be the villain, but they're doing kind of shitty things to the point where I'm like, am I supposed to root for you? Am I supposed to like you? Mainly with Gwendolyn Christie's character. I feel like she gave Wednesday way too much of a hard time in this show. Um, you know, I don't know. I don't want to go much further than that. I just don't want to like spoil anything huge or anything. I mean, not that there's like anything huge to spoil there in that particular aspect, but it's just like things in hindsight that I think about where I'm like, well, if this person's, this person and this person's this person, why would this person do this and this person do this? I don't get this. I don't know. There's some weird character motivations in this show that seem to just kind of be there for the sake of kind of subverting expectations and trying to take Wednesday off of her course just within the writing. Not because it's like some master plan. It's just because, oh, for the convenience of the story, we're just gonna write that in. Um, and there's a lot of that in there, for sure. I won't lie to you. This feels like a CW show. In terms of the writing, the visual effects overall, not bad, surprisingly. And they have the whole thing with the hand. Um, and I saw a picture, not sure whose Instagram or Facebook it was, but it was like a case full of hands. And I'm wondering, like, how did they do that actually? I'm wondering that even for like the older films, like, how did they do that with the hand? I'm very curious to like see the behind the scenes of that. But even Thing in here, like Thing in the other Adams Family movies that I have seen, he's a fun character and he has personality. And this even more so. Like you love Thing in this season. I just ugh. In fact, I would say he's one of my favorite characters. I love Thing. I mean, you can't not love Thing in this show in general. Sorry, I just hit my paper there. But yeah, let me see here. I mean, all the adult actors do really good. It's some of the kid actors at times. I really want to call them kids because most of them are probably my age. Um, but like a lot of these kind of student characters tend to fall short just a little bit. But at the end of the day, I did have a lot of fun with a lot of their characters. Um, oh my god, my nose is so freaking itchy. But yeah, Tyler, he was fine. Xavier, he was pretty cool for the most part. Bianca kind of came around the end for me. I liked her for the most part. But Enid is the one that I love overall. She's just awesome. I feel like I could get along with her for the most part. Yeah, she seems kind of match my energy at times. Yeah, I mean, overall, she's one of the characters I root for most, which is something I had difficulty with in the beginning, is really rooting for any characters or really liking any characters. But over time, they definitely grew on me. Like I have notes in here where I'm kind of trashing on certain things, and I'm just in hindsight. No, I kind of like that in the end. Um, I mean, is it a perfect show? Not by any means. I think there's plenty of Adams Family, like diehard fans, that are absolutely going to hate the show and just tear it to shreds. And I can kind of understand why. I mean, it doesn't have the best writing, not necessarily, but it's fun for the most part. I mean, oh, again, there's a lot of those filler episodes that just feel like they're there to fill time. Do I think they needed 8 episodes? No, I think they probably could have reduced it down to 6. Um, I mean, there's some goofy things that they do, especially with like the hide monster in here. Hopefully, just by saying the name of the monster, that doesn't give too much away. But yeah, he's crazy. There's some goofy shit they do in here, but I don't know. They find a good balance for the most part. Um, at the end of the day, it really is just like the kind of character stuff that I really do like in this show. But yeah, Nevermore in this show, basically, it's a combination of Hogwarts, the X Mansion, a dash of Twilight, a pinch of Riverdale, and I feel like there was something else too. Um, and a pinch of Percy Jackson just for a little spice there. Pretty much all the typical shit you've seen before. It's a school full of people with powers essentially. Some of them being supernatural, some of them kind of being more mystical, and whatever it might be. Um, it feels like a lot of things we've seen before. Does it feel completely original? Not really. There's just so many freaking things going on in this show that it's almost a little hard to keep up. It gets a little convoluted at times, and then it feels like they're kind of repeating themselves at times too. Um, I don't know. Let me look at some of my other notes here. Yeah, it feels like a lot of things I've seen before kind of wrapped up into one. Again, it really does have a very CW tone to it. It reminds me of shows like Riverdale where it'll start off seemingly kind of normal for the most part, but I have a feeling, even for a show like this, it's just going to get crazier and crazier. And I don't know if I'm necessarily ready for that. But there's a lot of really fun music in this show, especially the scenes where Wednesday is like playing the violin. I love that shit. And past a certain point, they just don't really do it anymore, which really disappointed me. But there's a whole scene where she's playing I See a White Door, and yeah, that one. And then there's another one where she was like playing outside in the town, and maybe you guys have seen it. I think it popped up in a preview, which is unfortunate because I honestly think that's the best scene of the whole freaking first season, is this scene where she's playing the violin. I don't know what song it is, but I need to look it up after recording this because I need to watch that scene again. That scene is very well made and very fun, very energetic. Just the music really pumps you up there. I'm a big music person when it comes to like movies. I like a good, I like a good soundtrack. I like a good, just I like it to go along with whatever's going on. Speaking of going along with whatever's going on, the whole yeah, there's callbacks, or maybe not callbacks, but like little Easter eggs to Die Hard Adams Family fans. And the problem with those sometimes is they can feel forced, but this in particular is actually added into the plot. So yeah, I'll let that, be a little mystery for you guys to see what that means, I guess, if you watch the show, or if you've already watched it, you know what I'm talking about. But I like that they have those little Easter eggs and they integrate it into the plot rather than just, having it be an Easter egg for the sake of an Easter egg. So that's pretty cool. Uh, Flip my page here, see if I have anything else. Um, yeah, again, I don't really know how Die Hard Adams Family fans will feel. I feel like there's probably going to be a big divide. For the most part, from people I've heard, who've watched it, who don't really have a whole lot of connection or ties or really feelings about it, have seemed to like it for the most part. So I think there's plenty of people that will enjoy it, but it really comes down to like the people who actually like Adam's Family and see how they feel about it. For me personally, I haven't seen enough of it. Like I've watched those two like classic movies that people think of. Can't even. I mean, obviously the ones with Christina Ricci in them. I've seen both of those. It's been a while since I've seen the second one, The Addams Family Values, but I watched the first one around Halloween. Just didn't do a review for it. But yeah, those are my only real context for Addams Family. Other than that, it's just like things I've kind of heard from other people. So if you're a diehard Addams Family fan or just really an Addams Family fan in general, I would love to know what you think about this show, whether you love it or hate it. Yeah, and in general, if you have watched this show, let me know whether you loved it or hate it down in the comments below. And if you haven't watched it, are you planning on watching it? Why or why not? But let me just check and make sure I don't have any other notes. I don't think I do. Oh, by the way, there is a twist in here that I did call towards the end. I didn't call it immediately because it wasn't something they were like completely setting up from the very beginning. I mean, they kind of were, but it's not something they were making completely obvious up until a certain point. It might not be obvious for everybody, but by the time it came up, I was just like, oh my God, I know exactly what they're about to do. And sometimes predictability isn't bad. Like with Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery. In that review, I said that I guessed who the killer was in that movie. It's a murder mystery. I guessed who that was, and here I kind of guessed what was about to happen. And in Glass Onion, even though I knew who it was going to be, the reveal still worked for me. And here, not necessarily, not really. I mean, it was still crazy. I was like, oh, yep, oh shit, yep, I called it. But at the end of the day, it still wasn't like a satisfying reveal, even though I still knew it. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of downsides about this show for me personally. It does feel like one of those shows that's probably better for the demographic it's aiming for, which is like 14 to maybe 17-year-olds. I'm 22, so maybe it's just not for me personally, but I feel like there's probably people around my age or older that probably like this show as well. So really just depends on the person. By the way, I have a new streaming service show slash movie ranking system, which I'll talk about in a sec. But yeah, personally, this one just didn't really do a whole lot for me. But yeah, to this ranking system here, I do have a ranking system for movies. But yeah, the streaming service show slash movie ranking system. Let me run you through it real quick. At the very top, best one, we got premium subscription. Makes your subscription cost seem like a bargain. Below that, we have standard subscription, perfect for a streaming service. Below that, we have basic subscription, perfectly adequate, but not quite what you're paying for. Tier below that, we have basic subscription with ads, the type of content or the type of mediocre content that streaming services tend to put out on a very large scale. The types of movies that we get, like, I don't know, like 20 times a year from Netflix. You know what I'm talking about, like Kissing Booth, all that type of dumb shit that I personally don't like. Tier below that, we have free trial. Worth watching if it's free. Highly recommend using as background noise. And the final tier below that is cancel your subscription. So bad you should cancel your subscription. Also consider asking for a refund. As for Wednesday, this first season at least, I think I would give it... I don't know. I'm between a basic subscription and a standard subscription. Because is this the type of stuff you typically pay for Netflix? Yes. Netflix is a little pricey, especially if you're going without ads and if you're trying to go with a good version. I don't know. Personally, I think I'm going to have to put this show in... Oh, frick. All right, I'm going to put it in basic subscription, all right? I had to go with one. I don't think it's a great show. I'm intrigued to see where it might go next, but at the end of the day, it's nothing groundbreaking for me. It's not necessarily why I would buy, a subscription to Netflix in particular. Would I cancel my subscription over it? No. Would I pay for a subscription for it? No. That being said, I think I did actually pay for a subscription to watch this show, but that's just for me personally, since I like to review these types of things for my channel. I also bought it for Glass Onion, but I didn't realize that was coming out next month, not this month. So, yeah, figured, well, might as well watch Wednesday. I did, finally got through it. Might not be reviewing it on a Wednesday, but hey, there you go. Already asked you before if you liked it or not, and to comment down below, and if you've watched it or not, to comment down below, all that kind of stuff. Really, in general, comment down below with anything you want to say. I typically write back depending on what you guys say, but as long as it's appropriate and not rude, which I really haven't had on the channel yet. So, yeah, thank you all for watching. Leave a like on the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload, and I will see you in the next video where I will review a movie or show. See you later.